Welcome to Menopause and Miracles, the podcast that cuts through the noise of midlife, menopause, and modern relationships and replaces it with truth, tools, and a little well earned perspective. The podcast where midlife gets honest, embodied, and a whole lot less lonely. I've got you, girl. I'm Suzanne, and your host and midlife wingwoman. I know what it's like to wake up in a body that suddenly feels unfamiliar, to question your energy, your mood, your patience, and wonder when the rules suddenly changed. I've stood in that in between space where you're still you, but something is undeniably shifting. I didn't come through this work through textbooks. I came through lived experience, honest conversations, and listening closely to what midlife was asking of me. And what it was asking wasn't to push harder or fix myself, it was asking me to slow down, get curious, and learn a new language for my body and my life. Remember, as your midlife wingwoman, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to walk beside you, to help you make sense of what's happening, name what you're feeling, and remind you that this season isn't a breakdown, it's a recalibration. And I am so excited to be here also showcasing this podcast on video for the first time for those who are not into podcasts but prefer to watch or listen to videos, because everyone needs to have a place to come in midlife to discuss all things about men, menopause, miracles, and more. So let's dive right into it. If you've been asking, menopause, now what? What just happened? You are exactly in the right place. Let's begin by grounding ourselves in what's real, what's normal, and what deserves a little more compassion than we've been giving it, okay? This is episode 33 titled Menopause, Now What, and What Just Happened. In episode 30, I walked us through the menopause checklist nobody gave you and how to be prepared and armed with the right questions to ask yourself and your physician. But today we're talking about what to do when it hits you. All of the signs and wonders, right? Hot flashes, mood shifts, slowing down, inconsistent sleep, and a slightly unrecognizable body. If you're here because your body feels unfamiliar, your emotions feel stronger, and you're quietly wondering, what just happened to me? Or maybe it's a hair on fire kind of, what's happening to me? WTF moment, right? I want you to know this first. Nothing has gone wrong. Menopause just has a way of arriving without a ceremony. No instructions, no roadmap, just a sudden sense of the rules you lived by for decades have quietly expired or gone away. Sleep changes, energy shifts, mood swings, and no one seems to be talking about it in a way that actually helps until now. Today isn't about fixing anything, it's about orientation, about naming what this season really is and releasing the shame of not knowing sooner, because this transition doesn't mean you're weak, dramatic, or failing at midlife. It means your body is doing something purposeful, even if it feels confusing right now. Isn't that the journey of the woman, right? So much transformation tied to her body, her every cell, every part. Today we're slowing this moment down. We're putting language to experience you're having. We're taking a breath together. So wherever you are, let this be a soft landing. You didn't imagine this. You didn't cause this. And you don't have to navigate it alone. Girl, I got you. Before we talk about menopause, I want to talk about the moment. That moment when you realize something is off. I think every woman has it. And it's not just one thing. Your sleep again feels broken. Your emotions feel exposed, like you're wearing every single one of them on your sleeve, right? Your energy disappears faster than it returns. And you start wondering if this is stress, burnout, aging, or if something deeper has shifted. For many women, menopause doesn't arrive as a date on your calendar. It arrives as disorientation. I mean, mine arrived feeling like a literal car crash. And knock on wood, I've never been in a car crash, but meaning that it was all at once, hard, painful, and immediately I was in some kind of recovery mode. Sure, perimenopause for me was a little sweeter, maybe a little kinder, quieter with its leads, the little leads on or signals that it gave me. And you look in the mirror and it looks like yourself, but you don't quite feel like yourself inside your own skin. And I certainly didn't fit like myself in my own skin, as I went from wearing small to medium, then to large shirt sizes, not because of the lovely back of the arms that started to carry weight in new ways that amaze me, but because my breast size grew also. And well, I'm too embarrassed to say here, and not sure if we're that comfortable with each other yet, what that looked like, but I'll just say a shift occurred for sure. And that's terrifying. It was terrifying. I was going around saying to my mom, my sisters, friends, really anyone who would listen, what is happening? What just happened to me? Followed by, how did this happen to me? And so naming the internal panic that you may be experiencing, here's what often goes unsaid. The fear isn't just about hot flashes or weight or sleep. The fear is, can I trust my body anymore? And oh girl, how could I trust my body that used to allow me to do CrossFit, but now only allowed some light walking, gentle yoga, and maybe stretching? That was such a shift. Can I trust my mind? I mean, it was yelling at me with strong mood swings and emotions and loudly. And how do you explain that to someone? And then, is this the new normal? That the question really is, when will all of this end so I could just go back to normal? And you might find yourself saying, why am I crying at things that never bothered me? Why is my patience gone? Why does everything feel louder, heavier, sharper? Why do I feel like I'm losing my edge? This is the hair on fire moment, not because something is wrong with you, but because no one's really prepared you for a full system shift. Menopause touches the nervous system, the endocrine system, the emotional body, and your sense of self all at once. And that's a lot. Anyone would feel rattled. And so then there is, some silent grief that I think becomes a part of every woman's journey, and it looks a little different for everyone. It's often the grief that, even if you can't name it, it's the grief of the ease that you used to have, the energy that you relied on, the version of yourself who didn't have to think so hard about functioning. And grief without language can sometimes turn into shame. I know I was so hard on myself, like, what is wrong? Why can't I get it together? Why can't I just have the same energy? Why can't I exercise the same? Why don't I have the same energy? Why does my sleep suck? All of the things I kept pointing back to myself, like, if I only could find an answer and fix it. But let me say this clearly. There is nothing weak about struggling here. There's nothing dramatic about feeling a bit overwhelmed. And there is nothing broken about you. You're crossing a threshold without a map. Without GPS. And what I felt leading up to it in perimenopause, my image was, it was like I was on a ship where there was no wind in its sails, no crew to support me, that I drifted off to sea far, far away from land and lost. I felt lost. So it's so important in reframing the, like, I'll just say initial and kind of ongoing shock, right? Here's the reframe I wish every woman heard sooner. Menopause is not a malfunction. It's not your body betraying you. It's your body changing operating systems. The problem is not change. The problem is we're still trying to run the old rules on new hardware. Pushing through, powering through, performing through. Those strategies, they worked once. They don't work the same way now. And that doesn't mean you're failing. Again, it just means it's an invitation that has changed. And the invitation I'm going to highlight that comes to your mind, body, and spirit. That triple hit, right? So let's slow this down and get practical, because menopause doesn't hit in one place. It lands everywhere. So in the body, right? Hormones are shifting, and that alone can ripple through sleep, metabolism, joints, digestion, and temperature regulation. There's estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, insulin. They're all in this conversation. And right now, and it's telling you something. This is where support matters. For some women, hormone therapy under the guidance of a knowledgeable provider can be life-changing. For others, it's not the right path. There's no single answer, and that's really important to say. It's a journey, it's exploration, it's finding out what works for you. What is important is knowing that you're allowed to ask about your hormones, thyroid health, thyroid health, iron, vitamin D, magnesium, the B vitamins, all the above, A through Z and the vitamins, inflammation, sleep support. These are not vanity questions. They are really foundational, and beyond labs and prescriptions, the body often needs to feel physically held again and supported. So physical therapy can help with joint pain. If there's any pelvic floor changes and the strange aches that appear overnight. Gosh, for a period, I was waking up, putting my feet down on the ground every morning, and they were just numb. They were numb and tingly. And I mean, numbness is a scary feeling. Somehow I must have intuitively known that it was temporary, or at least that's where my mind was framed with all the changes. But it was just weird to wake up every morning and have feet that were like they had fallen asleep, numb, and I had to warm them back up. So whether you're into getting a massage, some body work, acupuncture, even gentle stretching can signal safety back into your nervous system that's been running on high alert. This isn't indulgence. It's regulation. And I know I even sought out, I think it was a somatic healer, Reiki, some of those things that really tap into feeling safe in one's body. In the mind, fluctuating hormones can affect neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. Translation: mood swings, anxiety, brain fog, and intrusive self-doubt are common. Not because you're emotionally unstable, but because your chemistry is changing. And of course, when I was feeling those things, I thought that's exactly what I thought. I was becoming emotionally unstable, but I at least knew with age that, yeah, there was going to be a shift of some sorts. I just didn't know what and what it would look or feel like until it was here. So support with that can look like adjusting sleep before anything else, talking to someone who understands midlife transitions, whether that's a coach, a physician, a therapist. Heck, friends are always a good fill-in to support you. Talking about each other's journeys, reducing cognitive overload instead of pushing harder at work and other places, just saying, hey, I don't have the capacity to do that, or I can't make myself available to do that, and really lightening or lessening your load. Learning nervous system tools that calm rather than hype, for sure. Sometimes the most powerful mental support is really realizing your thoughts are influenced, not facts. And in the spirit of energy, many women describe feeling flat, restless, or disconnected from joy. This is the quiet part no one names, the part where you're the life you built no longer feels aligned, or you don't feel aligned in it, but you're not sure what replaces it. This is where gentle practices like, take time to get outdoors, breath work, meditation that isn't about emptying your mind, but listening to it, stillness, movement that feels nourishing, not punishing, slowing things down. Yeah, sometimes it's not about taking in more information. It's just giving your self time and space to feel and be and reflect and reassess or refresh yourself. Your spirit isn't lost. You have the permission to pause, and hence perimenopause, menopause. There's definitely a pause in there. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it's this: you do not need to fix your life right now. You do not need a 10-step plan. You do not need a get back to normal. What you may need is simply orientation, to understand what's happening, to soften the panic, to stop turning this inward as self-blame. Menopause asks for curiosity before correction. As your midlife wingwoman, my role isn't to rush you to the other side. It's to stand with you right here in the confusion and say, this makes sense. You're allowed to slow down. There is wisdom unfolding, even if it feels and looks messy. We will talk about tools. We will talk about choices. We will talk about what comes next. But first, we breathe. If you're listening today and thinking, this explains so much, let that land. Nothing has gone wrong. You're not late. You're not losing yourself. You're standing at the beginning of a new chapter. And like all beginnings, it starts with not knowing. In the next episode on menopause, we'll talk about why you may feel so different emotionally and relationally, and why the difference isn't a threat but a signal. And you don't have to figure this out all at once. A quick reminder, there's spaces available to sign up for my virtual 9-week workshop series, Empowered Dating After 40, that is starting this Thursday, January 15th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can sign up easily on my coaching website, www.empowermentcoachsuzanne.com, or send me an email for more info at yourmidlifewingwoman@gmail.com. The introductory price is $199 for the 9 weeks. I'm so excited and I can't wait to see you there. This will be a nice, cozy coaching circle virtually with midlife women. And again, I've done a podcast episode on the 9 weeks. So if you look back to any of them, you can see what it's all about. Thank you for listening today and being here with me. Be sure to click subscribe or follow so you're notified of each new episode that drops every Monday. If this episode gave you some comfort in what you've been feeling, hold on to that and share it with another woman who can use some of the same. This is Suzanne, your midlife wingwoman, reminding you to be gentle with yourself. This is not the end of who you are. It's the moment you start listening more closely. We'll keep unpacking this together, one conversation at a time. Bye for now.